There's something in your home right now that quietly disagrees with your success, not because it's haunted, not because it's cursed, but because it no longer matches the version of you that you say you're becoming. And while most people think that luck turns on a dime or opportunity knocks loudly, in truth, energy walks quietly and it reads the room before it enters. So before wealth ever shows up in your account, it enters your home, or at least it tries to. But when the path is blocked by the weight of neglected objects, things you've outgrown, items that belong to a past version of your story, then what you attract never quite lands where it should. It gets delayed, deflected, diluted, and you're left wondering why clarity never lasts, why income feels fragile, or why certain cycles just keep repeating. That's not superstition, that's structure. Because Feng Shui isn't about luck charms or red envelopes, it's about spatial language. The messages your home is constantly sending, whether or not you realize it. And today's message is a direct one. Some of the most common household items, things you pass by without noticing, may be slowly draining your ability to rise. And it's not their fault, it's your attention, or more specifically, your lack of it. The ancient systems of environmental alignment all understood one truth. Clutter isn't just physical, it's energetic. And certain objects hold emotional residue. When left unattended, they become silent interrupters of flow. Stuck chi doesn't just sit, it mutates. And when it pulls around outdated or broken items, the result is stagnation. Not always visible, but always felt. Let's get specific. There are 4 categories of items that repeatedly show up in households where wealth feels hard to hold on to. Not because people there don't work hard, but because their homes are subtly structured against their own progress. These objects create friction in the field, attract energetic clutter, and dull the vibrational sharpness that prosperity requires to land. You'll learn what these items are, where they hide, and how to remove or repurpose them. You'll also learn what to place instead, so that your home doesn't just look clean, it becomes clear. Because clarity isn't just visual, it's directional. And when your home's direction matches your intention, momentum becomes inevitable. Now, I know the internet is filled with claims. Put this in your wallet to cheer rich, or place this at your door to double your luck. This video is not that. This is not about making your space magical. It's about making it functional. You don't need superstition to attract better outcomes. You need alignment. Alignment between your values, your space, and your future self. That's how energy recognizes where to land. And in case you think this is just theory, consider this. One of the world's most recognizable performers. Someone worth hundreds of millions transformed her financial stability not through business deals alone, but by reconfiguring the emotional structure of her home. She didn't install crystals, she didn't burn sage, she removed 10 years worth of outdated symbols from her entryway, cleared the closet of everything tied to past performances, and adjusted the light at her front door. Why? Because she understood that environment is not a backdrop, it's a participant. Your home either works with you or against you. And the moment she changed what she came home to, she changed what came home to her. So before we begin, ask yourself this. What's been living in your space that you haven't spoken to in years? What drawer still holds that cracked item just in case? What pile is quietly stealing the confidence you keep trying to rebuild? You don't have to answer yet, but by the end of this video, you will. We're about to explore the 4 silent categories of household items that subtly block wealth, well-being, and emotional flow. And we'll do it not through mysticism, but through design logic, spatial insight, and ancient structure. Each section will also offer you a clear corrective strategy, so you don't just hear the advice, you act on it. And before we dive in, if content like this helps you feel more in control of your space, your energy, and your next chapter, I ask for just one small gesture of support. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone whose home could use more clarity, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. Your support helps me reach our next milestone of 2,000 followers. And more importantly, it allows this kind of grounded, practical feng shui to reach the people who are ready to create real change. One aligned room at a time, because remember, your home is already saying something to the universe. Let's make sure it's saying something worth listening to. Number 1, forgotten or decorative water containers. Not every block in your financial flow begins with your bank account. Some of the most persistent energetic stagnation begins in a corner you stop noticing, inside a decorative object you haven't touched in months, or beside a window where something was once placed with hope, but now sits dry, empty, and forgotten. Water in the logic of feng shui is not merely a symbol of life. It is the representation of wealth in motion. It's not passive. It moves, collects, feeds, and transforms. That's why running water, when placed properly, is one of the most powerful tools for attracting prosperity. But here's what most people don't realize. Water that's forgotten, or worse, symbolized without clarity, carries a completely different message. It whispers of delay, dried up ideas, forgotten intentions, and promise that never quite became practice. Think of the decorative tabletop fountain you once bought with excitement. Maybe it sat by the entryway, humming for a few days, or even a few months. But the pump eventually made too much noise, or the splash left marks on the wall, or the cord was too short to reach where you wanted it. So the water was drained, the stone stayed, and now, months later, it's just an empty basin collecting dust. From a visual standpoint, it might even look fine, minimalist, intentional. But energetically, what it's actually saying to the universe is, we once welcomed wealth, but we gave up trying. The same is true for fish tanks that once held motion and life, but now hold nothing but brittle glass and stale air. These aren't decorations. They're echoes. They broadcast a low, unconscious frequency that something once flowed here, but not anymore. And while the average viewer might think this sounds dramatic, the shift in energy isn't hypothetical. It's architectural. Feng Shui practitioners have long observed how stagnant water containers affect prosperity, not through belief, but through repeatable pattern. Homes with empty bowls, dry jars, unused aquariums, or vessels that used to hold herbs, tea, or healing ingredients, but now only hold dust, tend to experience hesitation in movement. Projects feel like they almost begin, then stall. Income may arrive, but feels unstable. Spending increases without clear cause. The space becomes quietly anxious, not loud, just always slightly off-center. Let's look at a common example. The decorative fishbowl. It's beautiful. Hand-blown glass, maybe placed on a corner shelf or beside a window, but there's no fish, no water. Just a vessel, once full, now neglected. Over time, the glass fogs. Tiny webs form behind it. You walk past it every day, never thinking about it, but your subconscious notices. And so does the qi. You don't need to believe in metaphysics to understand that anything left empty but visible becomes a statement. And in the energetic conversation of your home, that statement is a whisper of abandonment. Another subtle culprit is the clear glass jar. You may have used it to store herbs, tea leaves, dried flowers, or infused oils. Once, it was full of purpose, but now it's been sitting on a shelf untouched. A pinch of dried thyme still clings to the bottom. The lid is slightly ajar. It's harmless, right? But Feng Shui doesn't judge by utility. It responds to energy posture. That jar says, we started something, but we lost track. Multiply that message by 3 or 4 vessels scattered throughout your home, and suddenly the energetic rhythm of your space is off-key. Even more subtle is the decorative tabletop bowl, perhaps once meant to hold water, flower petals, or floating candles. Maybe it was used during a holiday or special dinner, then emptied and kept because it looks nice. But in feng shui, intention is everything. Form without function confuses qi. A vessel designed to hold water but left dry does not hold neutral energy. It holds unresolved purpose, and unresolved purpose always delays forward movement. So what do? You don't need to throw away every beautiful object in your home. This isn't about minimalism for its own sake. It's about energetic honesty. If you have a water vessel that no longer holds water, it must either be repurposed with intention or respectfully removed. Repurposing can be powerful. That decorative bowl, fill it with coins wrapped in red thread and place it in the southeast wealth corner of your home. That empty fishbowl, turn it into a small terrarium with moss and crystals. Now it holds growth and clarity instead of stillness and confusion. The glass jar, fill it with bay leaves and a handwritten affirmation scroll, transforming it into a manifesting anchor, not an accidental relic. If you still wish to use actual water features, the rules are clear. Water must move. If you place a tabletop fountain, the water must be clean, flowing, and intentionally maintained. That means changing the water weekly, cleaning the basin, and making sure the sound is gentle, never harsh. Placement is also critical. In feng shui, water features used to attract prosperity should be placed in the north or southeast of your home, not behind your bed, never under your bed, and absolutely not near fire elements like the stove. Water beside fire creates conflict. Water under rest creates depletion. And water behind the head sends chaos into your dreams. Energy respects boundaries, and so should we. One of the most overlooked mistakes is placing water near the kitchen. While the kitchen represents nourishment and prosperity, it is already ruled by fire. Adding a water feature here without wood to bridge the elements creates elemental tension. It's like asking your home to hold 2 opposing truths at once. Over time, that dissonance creates nervousness, not wealth. Instead, if you want to balance the kitchen with water, use green leafy herbs near the sink. Basil in a clay pot balances fire and water naturally. That's what harmony means in feng shui, not silence, but coherence. Still not convinced this matters? Consider the way your body reacts to environments. You walk into a space with a dry fountain, a dusty jar, and an empty bowl, and without knowing why, you feel slightly tired. You walk into a different space with a small bowl of floating camellia petals, a flowing water feature beside a jade plant, and a single copper coin bowl in the corner, and suddenly your breath slows, your chest opens. That isn't magic. That's vibrational memory. Your body recognizes where energy moves and where it doesn't. Your home does too. To summarize, decorative water containers are not automatically dangerous, but forgotten ones are. Unused vessels are not curses, but they are stories. And in feng shui, the stories you let sit untold eventually become the stories you live. Every dry fountain is a conversation you stopped having with your abundance. Every empty room is an intention you left unfinished. And your space, your intelligent, responsive, emotional space, remembers. So now look around your home. Don't judge, just notice. Which bowls are empty but visible? Which jars are only half used but never touched? Which containers were meant for water, for tea, for something sacred, but now sit still, collecting time? You have 2 choices. Fill them with something meaningful or remove them with respect. That's all. The moment you do, your environment recalibrates. Qi starts to flow again. Your subconscious relaxes, Your wealth field gets a new signal. We are ready to hold, not just hope. Because water doesn't just represent money, it represents what we're ready to manage, circulate, and grow. And you're not here to decorate your future, you're here to live it. Number 2, damaged kitchenware and chipped dining objects. Not every wealth leak is loud. Some of them begin quietly. In the bowl you've used for years that has a hairline crack along the rim, in the non-stick pan with its scratched surface that you've meant to replace, or in the plate whose edge chipped last summer but still sits at the bottom of your stack, just in case. These are not merely household items. In the energetic field of feng shui, they're mirrored relationships between you and your nourishment, between the way you receive sustenance and the way you allow prosperity to land and stay. The kitchen, after all, is the digestive center of the home. It's not just where food is cooked, it's where energy is translated, processed, and internalized. And everything in it, every surface, every tool, every vessel, participates in that exchange. So when we prepare or serve food using damaged objects, we don't just risk physical contamination. We activate symbolic fragmentation. Every crack in a dish, every warped pan, every dulled knife carries an invisible echo. This was once whole, but now we tolerate broken. The question is not whether you can still use the item. The question is what your environment hears when you do. Because feng shui is not about perfection, it's about flow. And when you invite energy into a kitchen that is structured around outdated, broken, or half-cared-for items, the signal becomes confused. Qi doesn't differentiate between I didn't have time and I no longer prioritize wholeness. It simply responds to the field. And the field reflects whatever you continuously accept. One of the most common energy leaks in modern homes is what I call the "it still works" drawer. You know the one. Inside it are rubber spatulas whose edges are stained, measuring cups with faded numbers, mugs with tiny chips near the lip, maybe even an old thermos with a broken lid that you've meant to fix but haven't. The drawer stays full, not because you need the items, but because you've normalized the energy of almost good enough. And over time, that message spills out of the drawer and into the rest of the home. It shows up in the way you postpone upgrades, the way you delay action on that new project, the way you hesitate to pursue the better client, the healthier relationship, the fuller life. You may not notice it right away, but your environment does, and it repeats that frequency until you either replace it or reinforce it. Now, some people will say, but that chipped bowl has sentimental value. I understand. We are not machines. We form emotional connections to the items we use to feed ourselves and our families. But in feng shui, sentiment cannot be a blanket excuse for stagnation. There is a clear difference between honoring memory and hoarding misaligned symbols. A bowl passed down from your grandmother, if chipped, can be cleaned, sealed, and displayed in a protected glass case, honored as legacy, not misused as daily function. But using it to serve soup on a Tuesday night means you're literally placing broken memory into present nourishment. And that fractures the message. When we mix brokenness with routine, we confuse the subconscious. The energy field stops knowing where to send reinforcement. So what once might have brought fortune becomes a drain. There's also a silent wealth narrative embedded in cookware. In many homes, the pots and pans we use the most are the ones we've owned the longest. We justify their wear and tear by saying they cook just fine, even as the bottoms warp and the handles become loose. But feng shui reads all tools as amplifiers. A warped pan doesn't just slow heat, it distorts energy. It asks the stove's fire to compensate for imbalance. Over time, the cost of that distortion shows up not just in how food is cooked, but in how nourishment is received. Hurried meals, unfinished digestion, or simply an emotional resistance to care. The same is true for knives that are dull or cutting boards that are cracked. These aren't aesthetic issues. They are structural reflections of how your home treats its own power source. Number 3, stored sentiment. Outgrown or past era items. The shoes you leave behind tell stories even when you're not listening. Every pair is a memory of movement, of who you became when you wore them and who you stopped being when you put them away. In the language of feng shui, shoes represent personal momentum. They are carriers of directional energy, symbols of forward motion, ambition, and transition. But unlike art or furniture, shoes are not meant to sit still. When they do, especially in disorder or neglect, they don't just lose purpose, they accumulate static. And static near the front door or beneath the place where you sleep isn't just untidy, it's energetically disruptive. Start with the entrance, the mouth of qi. Every style you take in or out of your home is marked by what you do with your shoes. In thousands of homes across the world, the front door area becomes a parking lot of footwear, pairs tossed sideways, mismatched, worn out, or forgotten entirely. What was meant to be a transition zone between outer energy and inner clarity turns into an energetic holding tank. And holding tanks by nature create delay. Feng Shui teaches that clutter near entrances compresses incoming qi, slowing opportunities, dulling momentum, and blocking helpful energy from fully entering the space. Your home might be clean beyond that threshold, but the delay has already begun the moment that front foot crosses over shoes that speak of past tension, outdated journeys, or disrepair. Shoes at the door may be practical, but practicality cannot become habitual negligence. You are not meant to greet new energy while stepping over the exhaustion of yesterday. And yet, that's exactly what happens when we leave sneakers with broken soles, boots caked with dust, or stilettos from a party 3 years ago in plain view. The message is subtle but consistent. We haven't quite moved on. Multiply that message by every person who walks past that entrance, and the impact compounds. Movement becomes friction. Direction becomes blur. Qi becomes reluctant. Even more concerning is what happens when shoes are stored under the bed. At first glance, it seems harmless, convenient even, a space-saving solution. But from a feng shui perspective, your bed is not just a place of rest. It is your altar of renewal. It is the single most receptive piece of furniture in your home. You spend 1/3 of your life in its embrace, unconscious and open, rebuilding your body, mind, and spirit. And what rests beneath it influences what rests within you. Shoes placed under the bed do not bring calm. They bring the momentum of the outer world into the heart of your sleep. They introduce directional qi into a place that craves stillness. They whisper urgency into your dreams and replay paths that have already been walked. Imagine sleeping above the shoes you wore during a breakup, or the ones you used to wear to a job that drained you, or the heels you haven't worn in 5 years but can't seem to let go of. These are not neutral objects. They are woven with energetic thread. When stored directly beneath the body, they act as anchors to the emotions and circumstances they once carried. The result? Subtle restlessness, dreams that feel jagged, a strange sense of fatigue despite sleeping for hours. It's not in your head, it's under your bed. One of the most overlooked psychological consequences of underbed shoe storage is the erosion of clarity. People often report waking up feeling mentally clouded or slow to focus, not realizing that the environment beneath them is mirroring a field of unresolved motion. Feng Shui doesn't require belief to function, it simply requires attention. And attention is exactly what's missing when we allow our most intimate restoration zone to become a repository for forgotten paths. Let's look at what kinds of shoes are most energetically charged. First, those that are damaged, flaking soles, torn linings, discolored leather, or broken heels. These shoes carry out a vibration of imbalance. Their form no longer supports healthy movement, and keeping them is an unconscious agreement to tolerate malfunction. In the same way that chipped kitchenware disrupts nourishment, broken shoes disrupt alignment. You would never build your future barefoot, so why store your future beneath what your past already wore out? Number 3, stored sentiment. Outgrown or past era items. The shoes you leave behind tell stories even when you're not listening. Every pair is a memory of movement, of who you became when you wore them and who you stopped being when you put them away. In the language of feng shui, shoes represent personal momentum. They are carriers of directional energy, symbols of forward motion, ambition, and transition. But unlike art or furniture, shoes are not meant to sit still. When they do, especially in disorder or neglect, they don't just lose purpose, they accumulate static. And static near the front door or beneath the place where you sleep isn't just untidy, it's energetically disruptive. Start with the entrance, the mouth of qi. Every step you take in or out of your home is marked by what you do with your shoes. In thousands of homes across the world, the front door area becomes a parking lot of footwear, pairs tossed sideways, mismatched, worn out, or forgotten entirely. What was meant to be a transition zone between outer energy and inner clarity turns into an energetic holding tank. And holding tanks by nature create delay. Feng Shui teaches that clutter near entrances compresses incoming chai, slowing opportunities, dulling momentum, and blocking helpful energy from fully entering the space. Your home might be clean beyond that threshold, but the delay has already begun the moment that front foot crosses over shoes that speak of past tension, outdated journeys, or disrepair. Shoes at the door may be practical, but practicality cannot become habitual negligence. You are not meant to greet new energy while stepping over the exhaustion of yesterday. And yet, that's exactly what happens when we leave sneakers with broken soles, boots caked with dist or stilettos from a party 3 years ago in plain view. The message is subtle but consistent. We haven't quite moved on. Multiply that message by every person who walks past that entrance, and the impact compounds. Movement becomes friction. Direction becomes blur. Qi becomes reluctant. Even more concerning is what happens when shoes are stored under the bed. At first glance, it seems harmless. Convenient even. A space-saving solution. But from a feng shui perspective, your bed is not just a place of rest. It is your altar of renewal. It is the single most receptive piece of furniture in your home. You spend 1/3 of your life in its embrace, unconscious and open, rebuilding your body, mind, and spirit. And what rests beneath it influences what rests within you. Shoes placed under the bed do not bring calm. They bring the momentum of the outer world into the heart of your sleep. They introduce directional qi into a place that craves stillness. They whisper urgency into your dreams and replay paths that have already been walked. Imagine sleeping above the shoes you wore during a breakup, or the ones you used to wear to a job that drained you, or the heels you haven't worn in 5 years but can't seem to let go of. These are not neutral objects. They are woven with energetic thread. When stored directly beneath the body, they act as anchors to the emotions and circumstances they once carried. The result? Subtle restlessness, dreams that feel jagged, a strange sense of fatigue despite sleeping for hours. It's not in your head, it's under your bed. One of the most overlooked psychological consequences of underbed shoe storage is the erosion of clarity. People often report waking up feeling mentally clouded or slow to focus, not realizing that the environment beneath them is mirroring a field of unresolved motion. Feng Shui doesn't require belief to function. It simply requires attention. And attention is exactly what's missing when we allow our most intimate restoration zone to become a repository for forgotten paths. Let's look at what kinds of shoes are most energetically charged. First, those that are damaged, flaking soles, torn linings, discolored leather, or broken heels. These shoes carry a vibration of imbalance. Their form no longer supports healthy movement, and keeping them is an unconscious agreement to tolerate malfunction. In the same way that chipped kitchenware disrupts nourishment, broken shoes disrupt alignment. You would never build your future barefoot, so why store your future beneath what your past already wore out? Then there are shoes with emotional residue. The pair you wore to your first big promotion, the ones you wore on your last vacation, the dress shoes you only use at funerals. These carry memory, and memory, when stored carelessly, becomes a weight. If these items are meaningful, they should be honored, not buried. Store them high up in a clean, closed box with a note of intention. Let them be memory, not interference. There's also the problem of excess. Shoes you haven't worn in years, pairs you bought on impulse, duplicates you don't rotate. Quantity is not abundance. In Feng Shui, excess becomes chaos when it lacks circulation. If you haven't worn a pair of shoes in over a year, ask yourself honestly, does this represent where I'm walking next? If the answer is no, release them. Donate, gift, or respectfully discard. Let someone else walk the path that pair was meant for. Your journey has shifted. Let your environment reflect that. Now for the solution. The practice is simple but powerful. Store shoes upright in clean pairs behind closed doors. A cabinet is ideal. If that's not possible, use a cloth shoe rack with individual compartments. Avoid open wire frames that expose shoes visually to the room. Exposure equals energetic noise. Containment equals calm. Should organize by frequency of use. Daily pairs should be most accessible. Special occasion shoes higher or boxed. Clean shoes monthly. Wipe the soles. Polish where needed. This isn't vanity, it's chi maintenance. When you care for the vehicles of your momentum cares for you. And under the bed, keep it clear. At minimum, avoid shoes entirely. Better still, remove all storage unless absolutely necessary. If you must use that space, store soft items in lidded, neutral-colored containers. Linens, clean clothing, or light seasonal items are best. Avoid anything associated with work, movement, or memory. Let your rest space remain a vacuum of stillness. That's how deep sleep is protected. That's how emotional recovery becomes possible. And that's how confidence, upon waking, begins to rise again without friction. There's an energetic axiom I often share. Never let your first breath of morning pass over yesterday's momentum. Your first breath deserves clarity. The air that meets your face when you rise should come from a space that is calm, open, and clear, not tinged with the scent of rubber soles or leather paths long expired. You are not meant to begin each day with the weight of where you have already been. You are meant to wake to what's possible. To illustrate this point, let me share a quick story. A successful interior designer based in New York once consulted me, puzzled why her clients' homes were evolving, but her own business growth had stalled. She was articulate, organized, and deeply intuitive. But during our visit, I noticed nearly a dozen pairs of shoes, some elegant, some clearly worn, stored underneath her bed. When I asked about them, she laughed. "My closet's full. It's just convenient." We discussed how that convenience might be costing her clarity. 2 weeks after removing every pair and placing them upright in a closed cabinet, she called me to share something unexpected. She had slept through the night for the first time in months. But more than that, a new corporate client reached out, unsolicited, asking her to consult on a long-term project. She said, "I feel like I got my direction back." That's not superstition. That's resonance. So pause now. Look at the floor near your door. Look under your bed, not with guilt, with presence. What shoes live there? What paths do they represent? What decisions are they silently reinforcing? If you want a new direction, start with your own steps. Honor them, elevate them, and never let your future be built on the patterns you have already worn through. Number 4, outgrown or past era items. Memory is not what we remember, it's what we preserve. And in the modern household, memory often lives inside boxes, some sealed, some left open, some sitting quietly in closets we haven't opened in months. The deeper truth, though, is that memory doesn't just live in our minds. It lingers in fabric, in form, in quiet corners of the home. And when those items represent stages long past, especially childhood bedding, baby clothes, early school uniforms, or cribs, they stop functioning as legacy and begin functioning as energetic anchors. In feng shui, these items are not simply clutter. They are time markers. And when stored improperly, they create what we call temporal drag, the subtle slowing of present momentum due to the accumulation of untethered past energy. You see, every object carries a vibration, and while feng shui often focuses on form, flow, and elements, it equally values timeliness. Just as food goes stale, so too does qi when held in the wrong container, in the wrong location, for the wrong reason. A baby blanket from 10 years ago may seem harmless, even sweet, but if it lives in an active area of the house, especially a bedroom or a shared closet, it constantly signals your environment to look backward. It asks your space to honor a stage that no longer exists. And when your home is tuned to the past, it becomes difficult for the present to find stability. Qi cannot divide its support between memory and motion. It must be directed. It must be told where to settle. Otherwise, it stutters, stalling forward progress, creating emotional fog, and subtly exhausting the household's energetic field. One of the clearest examples of this is what I call the legacy closet. Many parents keep bins of children's clothing, toys, or bedding that no longer serve the present age of their child. Not because they plan to reuse it, but because letting go feels disloyal. The thought is, these are the memories I'm not ready to release. But here's the problem. When you store memory as fabric rather than feeling, you outsource your emotions to objects. And those objects, over time, accumulate weight. Not just literal weight, but vibrational heaviness that spreads. I have visited homes where 5-year-old children slept under sheets designed for toddlers, surrounded by stuffed animals they no longer touched, and furniture that subtly whispered, "You're not ready to grow." And in those homes, parents reported everything from developmental stagnation to behavioral regressions, sleep difficulties, and more. Again, this isn't superstition. This is spatial signaling. The child receives the message unconsciously: stay small, don't grow, we miss who you used to be. The same is true for teens using desks filled with early school memorabilia or closets with clothing 3 sizes too small. The environment cannot pretend. It reflects what it holds. And when what it holds is tied to a version of the self that no longer fits, the energetic loop becomes fractured. Instead of directing qi toward expansion, it sends it inward, backward, slowing natural momentum and making emotional evolution feel like betrayal rather than progress. Let's go deeper. It's not just about children. Adults are equally susceptible. I once worked with a client who had kept his daughter's crib in the guest room for 10 years. She was already in college. When I asked why, he said, "I just like seeing it. Duh, duh. It reminds me of when things were simple, but the guest room was never used." And over time, the room became a kind of memory museum, silent, full of dust, and energetically inaccessible. What had once been a tender connection had morphed into a locked field, one that subtly drained his emotional resilience. He struggled with sleep, decision-making, and experienced a constant low-grade fatigue. After we cleared the room and honored the memory with a framed photo and a small carved wooden token, the energy shifted. Within weeks, the space became usable again. More importantly, he reported sleeping better and feeling more present during family gatherings. He hadn't lost the past. He had recontextualized it. This brings us to the core lesson. Memory isn't held in things. It's held in clarity. You don't need 6 bins of old clothes to remember who your child was at 3. You need one carefully chosen item, clean, sealed, respected, in a home that supports who they are becoming. The same goes for you. Holding on to the scarf you wore during a breakup, the jersey from a team you no longer play for, or the bedding from your first apartment may seem nostalgic. But if those items remain in active rotation, inside your closet, in your drawers, or under your bed, they're not memories. They're energetic loops, and loops prevent lines. Without linear movement, growth becomes cyclical. That's how people get stuck in emotional patterns without realizing why. Let's talk placement. If you choose to keep past era items, store them high, not low. Chi naturally settles downward. Placing memory-based objects on the floor invites energy to pool there. This is why underbed storage is so often problematic. It creates a foundation of fragmentation. Instead, use high shelving, closed cabinets, or decorative boxes kept above eye level. And store only what you've consciously chosen, not what you didn't get around to sorting. Intention matters. Label the box with care. Use beautiful handwriting. Include a note inside expressing gratitude for the chapter those items represent. This transforms a pile into a portal. That's the difference between hoarding and honoring. Now, to shift the energy forward, replace those outdated symbols with ones that reflect current life stage growth. In your child's room, that might mean new linens with colors they choose themselves, a framed photo of them with friends from this year, or a calendar with upcoming milestones. In your own room, it might mean a new set of sheets in a material that reflects comfort now. Then it might mean upgrading the reading lamp or placing a current journal beside the bed instead of one from college. These small adjustments speak volumes. They say to your environment, we are here, now, and we're ready. Let me share an example from someone you will likely recognize, Michelle Obama. In an interview after her family left the White House, she spoke candidly about how difficult it was to transition back into private life. But one thing she did almost immediately was redesign the family's new bedrooms, not with artifacts of political life, but with current photos, updated colors, and objects that reflected their next chapter. She said it helped ground them, not in the past 8 years, but in the present. That's powerful. That's feng shui in motion. When your space aligns with who you are today, not who you were, you give your energy field permission to evolve. There's one more layer, health. In homes where large amounts of past era items are stored, especially in bedrooms, there's often a correlation with immune imbalance, hormonal disruption, or anxiety. Again, this is not magic, it's weight. When your environment is cluttered with symbols of a self that no longer fits, your system must work harder to reconcile that cognitive dissonance. It's like walking into a room that tells a story you have already outgrown. Your body hears it, your energy field hears it, and eventually it starts to echo it. So here's the practice. Choose one category of past era items this week. Maybe it's baby clothes. Maybe it's your old gym gear. Maybe it's bedding from a stage of life you no longer relate to. Sort it slowly, touch each piece. Ask what emotion it carries. Ask if that emotion supports your current trajectory. If yes, keep it. Clean, seal, and store with intention. If no, release it with gratitude. Then immediately replace the space it leaves behind with a symbol of growth. This could be a book you're reading now, a photo from a recent celebration, A new throw pillow that brings in updated color energy. It doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be directional. And one last reminder, the photos you display matter. Don't only frame nostalgia, frame now. Frame the family trip from this year, not just the baby photo from 15 years ago. Frame the accomplishment from last month. Frame a candid, imperfect moment that reflects presence. When your home sees you now, it supports you now. It doesn't hold you hostage to what once was. In closing, understand this. Energy doesn't resist change. People do. But when we learn to let space reflect truth, not fear, our homes become co-creators. And that changes everything. Let the past be honored, but let the present be supported. Because clarity isn't just a mindset, it's a room you live in. Alternative remedies that encourage fresh flow. Not every shift requires subtraction. In many homes, energy doesn't just stall because of what is present. It stalls because of what is missing. When a space holds no invitation, chi lingers at the threshold. It hovers near doorways, gets caught in corners, and begins to recirculate in confusion. But when we introduce subtle, symbolic adjustments, those rooted in the 5 elements and applied with clarity, space begins to respond. These are not decorative tricks or aesthetic upgrades. These are energetic interventions designed to re-educate your home on how to breathe. Let's begin with the first tool, a clean ceramic bowl of rock salt placed in the most energetically overwhelmed area of your home. Salt in its rawest form, unaltered, unbleached, and unprocessed, acts as a field neutralizer. Its granular structure doesn't just sit, it absorbs. Not randomly, but deliberately. Unlike incense or oils which influence the air, salt governs the field. Its job is not to scent the room, but to hold and neutralize the emotional sediment that builds up in spaces of tension, typically the corners of rooms where family disagreements echo, underused hallways where decision fatigue lingers, or storage zones where guilt and indecision collect in layers. But salt cannot perform if it is placed carelessly. The bowl must be ceramic or clay, not metal, not plastic, because earth supports earth. The material matters. The intention matters more. Set it down gently, no higher than waist level. Let it rest near the energetic ground. Replace it every 9 days. 9 is a number of completion in Eastern numerology, marking the end of one cycle and the readiness for another. When the salt begins to clump, smell damp, or appear yellowed, that's not bad. It means it's working. Dispose of it outside the home, not in the sink. Chi must exit the way it entered, with intention. Next, anchor wood energy at your home's entrances. Many people think of the front door as a visual feature or security point, but in feng shui, it is the mouth of Qi, the gatekeeper of all incoming energy, including opportunity, clarity, and financial flow. Just inside this space, on the floor, at the transition between outside movement and interior stillness, place an upright, resilient plant. The best choices are those that reflect direction and containment. The snake plant, tall, structured, minimal, embodies upward growth without overwhelm. The money tree, with its braided trunk and rounded leaves, balances aspiration with grounding. Avoid drooping or delicate species. Your entrance needs a sentinel, not a decoration. Place the pot on a clean ceramic dish, not directly on tile or hardwood, to buffer the plant's roots from erratic heat or water shifts. Rotate the plant once per week. Wipe the leaves gently to ensure photosynthesis isn't blocked by household dust. This is not plant care. This is Qi hygiene. When wood energy is stable at the threshold, the home begins to rise. Subtly at first, then tangibly. Bills are paid more calmly. Conversations at the door become lighter. You may even notice guests remarking how your space feels different. Then comes the light. Not just any bulb, a bulb you rarely think about. A hallway fixture that flickers, a guest room light that sat unused for months, a closet with one dull overhead that casts uneven shadow. These are what we call energy blind spots. Qi, like water, pools where it is dim and leaks where it is ignored. One of the most overlooked remedies in feng shui is simply this: change a light bulb each week in a room that receives little attention. The act is deceptively mundane, but in practice it reactivates the room's relevance in your energetic map. A room with working light says, "I am ready." Even if no one occupies the space, your home registers the activation. You signal to your subconscious that nothing is being forgotten, that every zone of your life is available for growth, not just the parts you're currently focused on. Light is the yang element made visible, and when yang re-enters a forgotten space, stagnation has no choice but to exit. If you want to take this further, match the bulb's color temperature to the room's purpose. Use soft white, 2700 K in bedrooms for calm clarity. Daylight bulbs, 5000 K in creative spaces for mental sharpness, and warm tones in eating areas for emotional connection. Again, this is not design, this is flow tuning. Another remedy that may seem subtle but delivers outsized impact: placing a small mirror behind a door that always closes too slowly or partially. Why? Because slow closing doors represent hesitation. They say to the Qi, "I'm not fully open, but I'm not fully closed either." That liminal space, the in-between, confuses directional energy. It creates loops rather than lines. But rebuilding a doorway or changing hinges isn't always feasible. Instead, affix a palm-sized mirror, round or octagonal is best, on the wall directly behind the door, high enough that it does not reflect your body when you walk in. The mirror doesn't exist for your gaze. It exists for the space. Its function is to simulate expansion, to tell the Chai, though this door lags, the field beyond is clear. This opens blocked energy without renovation. Over time, you'll notice that the room feels more accessible, that it holds you differently. Even sleep may improve if the room was previously reluctant to settle. And finally, a technique I rarely teach publicly, but which has profound effect when done consistently. Write one word that symbolizes your financial direction, your compass word, and place it underneath your rice container or inside your desk drawer. Why rice? Because in feng shui, rice is the representation of stored nourishment. It symbolizes steady wealth, not sudden windfall, but sustainable sustenance. And a desk drawer is where action begins. Contracts, correspondence, receipts, decisions all emerge from this space. By placing a word like clarity, stability, growth, or even something deeply personal beneath these zones, you are imprinting the field with instruction. Not wishful thinking, instruction. Do not write phrases. Do not ask for anything. This is not a letter to the universe. It is a command to the Qi. This is where we're going. Fold the paper small. Use plain white or craft paper. Avoid glossy colors. Replace the word every full moon or at the beginning of a new season. As your goals evolve, your instruction must evolve too. This is not a superstition. It's spatial reinforcement. Your home, like your body, responds to signal. Let's zoom out and examine what these 5 remedies really do. Together, they reinforce presence. They create a field that is clear, current, and directional. They do not ask the universe for favors. They don't summon luck. They simply make space for movement that already wants to arrive. When you place salt in a bowl, you make room for clarity. When you raise a plant near the threshold, you prepare for resilience. When you refresh a bulb, you signal readiness. When you redirect a hesitant door, you restore commitment. And when you name your financial tone and place it beneath stored wealth, you speak to your space with authority. You are no longer reacting, you are composing. In the language of feng shui, every action is relational. There is no object without influence. There is no placement without meaning. The question is not whether your home is influencing you, it's whether you are ready to influence it back. This is where modern homes often fail. We treat space as a backdrop rather than a participant. We think style shapes feeling, but it is energy, not aesthetics, that creates ease. A perfectly curated home with stagnant chi still breeds friction. A humble home aligned with purpose and care can become a sanctuary of movement, resolution, and expansion. Try just one of these remedies this week. One bowl of salt, one light bulb changed, one plant placed with intention, one mirror aligned, one word written and honored. Then pause, not to evaluate results, but to notice rhythm. Feng Shui does not function like a switch. It unfolds like a season, slowly, subtly, but always in response to what you've chosen to place, replace, or remove. And that is the gift. Energy does not demand perfection. It simply requires participation. Final, every object in your space is already making a choice. Not consciously, not maliciously, but rhythmically, quietly, inevitably. Your home is either anchoring your future or echoing your past. There is no neutral position. It is either reinforcing the direction you want to go or folding you back into the patterns you have already lived. And the hardest part? Most people don't notice until they feel stuck, until they realize they've worked hard, set goals, improved habits, and still something feels off. What they don't see is that their environment is repeating a message louder than their affirmations ever could. A chipped bowl that whispers lack, a dusty corner that radiates neglect, a forgotten cabinet stuffed with memorabilia from a version of themselves they no longer resonate with. These items aren't meaningless. They are energetic broadcasts. They say, stay here, not yet, don't grow, don't release, don't move forward. And yet, the correction is not complex. It doesn't require incense. It doesn't require belief. It only requires awareness. Awareness that your home is a collaborator, that every drawer, every surface, every shadowed shelf is either lifting your frequency or pulling it into friction. Once you understand this, your home becomes a tool, a quiet partner, a subtle coach. It begins to work with you, not against you. When you clear what no longer supports your direction, when you remove the objects that no longer align with who you're becoming, you don't just shift your space, you shift your trajectory. Not through effort, but through environment, and the difference is palpable. Sleep deepens, conversations soften, decisions clarify. The mind stops rehashing what already happened and begins rehearsing what's possible. So ask yourself, what in your home still carries the energy of a season you have already outgrown? A scarf from a job you left, a gift from a relationship that expired, a pillow, a photo, a paper, each holding the vibration of a story you're no longer writing. Let them go, not to forget, but to honor. Because clarity is not forgetting. It is the courage to choose what gets to remain in view. And then, after you've cleared, replace with intention. A plant that grows upward, a mirror that reflects light, a bowl that absorbs noise, a word placed where you'll see it every day. These are not rituals, these are permissions. And sometimes permission is all it takes for progress to begin. I want you to remember this as you move through your space this week. Energy doesn't ask for your permission to act. It responds to your arrangement. It flows into stillness. It circles back to what is repeated. But when you interrupt that loop, when you say through action, this version of my space no longer fits who I am, everything starts to reconfigure. Slowly, gently, but undeniably. It may begin with better sleep, a calmer morning, a sudden decision that felt hard before. And from there, momentum, not manufactured, not forced, but natural. Because your space now holds hands with your direction. And that's the quiet power of feng shui, not superstition, not spectacle, just structure. Structure that speaks, structure that supports, structure that reflects who you are becoming, not who you were. You don't need to burn incense. You don't need to pray for wealth. You just need to stop letting your home quietly say no when your life is trying to say yes. If this video helped you see your space in a new light, I invite you to share it with someone you care about. Someone who may be carrying too much in the corners of their home and not even know it. Leave a comment below with one object you have been meaning to release. Just one. That's where movement starts. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. My goal is to reach 2,000 subscribers so I can continue offering this kind of thoughtful, grounded content to more people who are ready to live with energy, not just things. We're building something rare here, a community where clarity is more valuable than clutter. Thank you for being part of that, one clear choice at a time.